Cheers to our very first episode of 2024.
We're back. We're back. Mashed potatoes, M&Ms, and Marshall Mathers.
Marshall Mathers.
I don't know. You know how people do like voice warm-ups? Where like, blah, 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 blah.
Oh, yeah.
I haven't
Never heard Marshall Mathers
that much today. All right, well, let's get this motherfucking thing on the road. Let's do this.
Let's do it. 2024 season 2.
I've been excited all day. First episode of the year. Let's go.
Let's go.
The Country Cousins are back. I'm gonna try to drink more Buzz Balls this year.
That's your goal? That's your New Year's resolution?
Because that's a signature thing. That's like a thing we do. I've been wanting one so bad. You know they make an espresso martini one? I want to find it.
Yes, I have it, but I haven't tried it yet. I got it at Food City.
That's our thing. Buzz Balls. We had our first Buzz Balls together.
Almost a year ago. In April.
Yeah. That was a fun night.
It was a very fun night. I was exhausted though.
Me too. Because the next day we went shopping and walking and eating.
Mm-hmm. It was just like a quick day trip to Georgia, which was like a 4-hour drive.
It was fun though.
It was worth it. It was definitely fun.
We got to see 49 Winchester in the smallest venue they'll probably ever play again.
Yeah, because they're blowing up. And our cousin, shout out to Justin. He's the drummer.
Yes, shout out Justin.
They're killing it, man.
Yeah, we're going in April to Nashville to see him open for fucking Tyler Childers.
Yeah, that's awesome that they're opening. I mean, and then they're going to Europe again over the summer.
Yeah. I forgot what I was about to say. Never mind.
But we are back.
We are back.
I'm so excited about this year because we have like so much stuff planned, and we're going to be taking a couple breaks because like we're going to be working on so much stuff, but I'm so excited
things
about it.
For you guys, so new exciting fun things.
I'm Nina.
And I'm Andrea, and this is Cults, Crimes, and Spirits.
All right, so we're going to be in Georgia for today's episode.
Represent. And it also takes place where I have visited a couple times.
Good old Savannah, Georgia. So we're not just going to be in Georgia. We're going to be in Georgia in the colonial times. So that's a long-ass time ago.
Gross.
Ew.
I'm so glad I did not grow up in those times.
I've never heard somebody be like, ooh, gross to colonial.
That sounds shitty.
But I totally get it.
Yeah, no thanks.
Mm-hmm.
But we're going back, I guess.
So yeah, we're going
to that time.
We're going back to colonial times, yes, to discuss the very first murder and execution in the Peach State, and a certain ghost that may still be haunting Savannah's Wright Square, also known as the Hanging Square, because that was the designated hanging spot back in the day, because people had designated hanging spots back in the day.
That's crazy. I probably walked right by there on my ghost tour.
Probably, yes. So in February of 1733, this is when this dude named General James
Oglethorpe,
along with 120 other people traveling in a ship named Anne, landed on the shores of America and founded the 13th and final colony, Georgia.
Oh, okay. Makes sense as to why he has so much shit named after him. Also goes to show you I don't know shit about where I live. Ha ha ha.
Dude, I don't know anything about Virginia either, so.
It's for lovers.
That is true. Georgia was named after England's King George II, and Savannah, Georgia became the very first city.
Interesting. That's why they still have brick cobblestone.
Yeah, because it's like super old.
We need to go this year. A trip to Savannah.
Hell yeah.
Wet Willie's, you have to experience it. You can get all, it's like frozen alcohols, and you can mix them and walk around with it. But yes, anyway, sorry, sidetracked.
We need to go to Savannah. But according to Visit Savannah, The plan for this new colony of Georgia was to offer a new start for England's working poor and to strengthen the colonies by increasing trade. Makes sense?
Easy to get ships in and out.
Yeah. Naturally, you can imagine back then there were all kinds of people wanting to come to America for a better life. I mean, hell, there's still people that come to America for a better life.
Yeah, a lot.
So in December of 1733, in search of a better life, a young girl named Alice Riley, an Irish immigrant, boarded a ship headed for America. This ship was full of other Irish immigrants, including one named Richard White. According to some accounts, Richard was Alice Riley's boyfriend or lover or something.
Situationship. Who knows? They were just a thing somewhere. Someone saw them kiss or something. Yeah.
Right. And the ship that Alice and Richard were on was actually headed to Philadelphia, not Georgia.
Weird. Why? What happened?
I don't know. I guess that's just where that one was going.
Boston Tea Party. Hey.
Yeah, people would go to different colonies and stuff, so that one was just heading to Philadelphia. But they encountered some bad winter weather, and a lot of the food supply on the ship was destroyed. And so the passengers and crew, they were all like nearly dead from starvation. So instead of going all the way to Philadelphia, they just landed in the port of Georgia at Savannah because they were like half dead.
That's not good.
And I guess Georgia was closer.
Yeah. Philadelphia is way up the coast, so.
Yep, they landed in Savannah instead of Philadelphia, so they didn't die because of their food supply. It's kind of messed up for them, as we will find out later on, that they landed there for safety, and then you'll see how the rest of their story goes. They would have been better off in Philadelphia. Alice and Richard, along with the other Irish immigrants, there was about 40 of them, 35 to 40 on the ship with them. They couldn't afford their passage to America, so they came there as indentured servants. If you don't know what an indentured servant is, it's basically when someone else pays your way to like America, and when you arrive, you work for that person unpaid for a certain amount of time. It's usually like 5 to 7 years.
Bullshit. Sounds like complete bullshit.
It's kind of like slavery, but at the end of 5 to 7 years, you earn your freedom.
I didn't want to be the one to say it.
That's the difference. Yeah, I mean, it's basically slavery.
Like, I know, that's shit. But at least they were free after a certain amount of time.
Yeah.
It wasn't forever.
Supposed to be, yeah. I'm not sure if it always worked out that way, because,
people be peopling.
Mm-hmm. When they all arrived to Georgia, that General James Oglethorpe, yeah, he ended up buying all of their indentures for like £5 a piece because he needed some help running this new colony. He needed people to work in this new colony. So he could have like sent them on.
That's a cheap way to do it.
Yeah, he could have sent them on to Philadelphia, but he was like, "No, you guys can stay here because, I need people." So even though he didn't expect them to arrive in Georgia, he let them stay. And Alice and Richard were both sent to live with and assist this man named William Wise.
That's fucking weird.
What a name.
It's almost my brother's full fucking name.
Yep, almost. I saw this, I was like, no way.
And that'd be funny because he would have a maid and assistants. He sent a Snapchat the other day that was a plate of eggs, and he said, "I'm almost 21 and all I know how to cook is eggs." And I was like, I'm
surprised he knows how to cook eggs.
Come on, you gotta at least know how to cook spaghetti or something, bro. That's easy as fuck. Like, come on. It's almost as easy as eggs.
I remember when you were like 10, you could cook a 5-course meal because you would watch Emerald and Gordon Ramsay.
I loved the Food Network. I loved it. I know, I was telling my homegirl, I was like, yeah, I was like 11 years old and I wouldn't know what to cook, so I'd just go saute onions and just eat sauteed onions. She's like, what? And I was like, but I could also make like my version of like eggplant lasagna with like spaghetti noodles, and it slapped.
Well, I remember you made this stupid it was a sandwich and you put potato chips on it. You put like Doritos and mayonnaise on bread.
And no, it's mustard. It's mustard and Doritos and like.
Oh, that's even worse. But I remember you made that and you made me try it, and I was just like, "Are you serious? This is not food."
Oh my god, we need to have a poll. We need to do a poll for people that listen to this episode. And if you follow us on Instagram or maybe even TikTok, I don't know how to do polls on TikTok, but we need to see how many people like chips on their sandwich versus people that can't eat the chips on the sandwich. Because in my eyes, if I'm eating a sandwich and chips, I'll take a bite of sandwich, a bite of chip. Same shit. Just put them all together.
No, it's not the same. Oh, anyways.
Okay.
Where were we? Okay. This William Wise character had a reputation for being super sketchy.
Yep, that's my brother.
William even tried passing off a prostitute as his daughter so that he could bring her with him to Georgia. But it didn't work, as people found out about it, and then they just really didn't like him. Like, they already didn't like him, but then they really didn't like him.
Stupid ass.
Yeah.
Yeah, the White Claws are hitting. The episode's about to get good.
That didn't work, the prostitute thing.
Oh, this motherfucker's from England.
He arrived in Georgia from England like a short time earlier. I mean, hell, everyone arrived in Georgia a short time earlier. They just created the colony.
Yeah, and they were like, everyone, flock to Georgia.
The voyage to Georgia for William Wise was said to have been very hard, just like Alice Riley's. I imagine all the voyages were pretty rough back then. I mean, they weren't...
Yeah, that's a far way to go overseas in a, like, half shitty-ass made boat, probably.
Right. I mean, it wasn't like Carnival Cruise Line. So, when he arrived, he wasn't in the best, like, condition. James Oglethorpe decided to let William stay in Georgia, even though no one really liked him. And he sent William over to a place called Hutchinson Island, and it was like slightly away from other people. And on Hutchinson Island there was like a cattle farm, and William Wise would be responsible for taking care of the animals and stuff there and taking care of the farm. So that was like his job in the colony. However, tending to the cattle supposedly made William's condition worse, because he was
probably sick and shit. Yeah,
and that just made it worse for him, to the point where he apparently became bedridden.
All right, pussy ass.
And it is believed that this is why Alice and Richard were sent to live with William and take care of him and help out with the farm, because William wasn't able to. So Oglethorpe sent Richard and Alice over to help. Alice and Richard were tasked with having to bathe William.
Ew.
Okay? Right? Richard supposedly was in charge of combing William's long gray hair.
How old was this man?
I don't know how old he was, but Alice had to wash him. I don't know why the roles weren't reversed there. Like, why
maybe
Richard
it was
wasn't
a sexual
washing
thing.
him? Probably, because he just seemed like
a lonely
gross
old
person.
man.
I don't know. So now, allegedly, William, already known for being quite unsavory, would allegedly make lewd comments towards Alice, and who knows, he probably tried grabbing her while she was bathing him. I mean, it's hard to tell.
Yeah, he seems like a fucking creep.
Yes. So one day, Alice and Richard had enough, and they killed William.
Way to go!
The story goes that they prepared William's bath like normal, and then Richard strangled William with his own neckerchief.
Shit.
And they plunged his head into a bucket of water. I love how we're laughing at a murder.
This is pretty brutal. I didn't think they had it in them. But I guess they were like, fuck this shit. Yeah. We're tired of this old fucking creepy man.
Yeah, so they supposedly plunged his head into the water and like drowned his ass. And then apparently they stole some of William's things and they made a run for it.
As they should. If you're gonna kill a man, might as well steal his shit. You already killed him.
Take it with you. So it was rumored that they were headed for Charleston, South Carolina, which is about like 2-hour drive in a car, which didn't exist back then. But unfortunately, they got caught.
Oh, damn.
They got got.
They got.
So there's so many like things associated with this story that have been kind of proved to be false. This is one of them. So it is said that after Richard and Alice killed William, they dumped his body in the Savannah River.
That didn't fucking happen.
Yeah, it was kind of disproven with these letters that were found. So there was this letter that was written and sent to James Oglethorpe while he was away. He was visiting England.
All right.
He was away from the colony of Georgia, visiting England on business when like all the shit kind of went down. He was on business towards the end of the same year that everything happened. So it happened towards the beginning of the year, like I think it was March. They were captured and they had their trial in like May, and then towards the end of the year James was like over in England. And this letter was written by the town recorder named Thomas Christie, and he confirms that William had been bedridden and that Richard and Alice were tasked in taking care of him, including bathing him.
I would have been like, oh well, motherfucker drowned while I was going to get more washcloths. I don't know what to tell you. Like, you can't prove shit.
Right, I would have just been like, he died of natural causes. Like, he was sick and like
called
he
someone
just
and
died.
Been like, hey, I don't know what happened. He's in the bathtub.
Yeah. Well, they didn't have phones back then, so you could write a letter. I feel like I didn't know it.
4 days later.
The letter confirmed that William had been bedridden and that Richard and Alice were tasked in taking care of him, including bathing him. And according to the Savannah Morning News, Christie detailed what must have happened, saying, quote, one morning, Riley, by the direction and influence of White, brought a pail of water and set it down by the ailing man's bed. White, he says, came in, also pretending to assist and comb his hair. As he was pretending to comb Wise's hair, White instead grabbed a neckerchief he kept around his neck and twisted it till he was almost suffocated. Riley then jumped in and plunged his face in the pail of water. Since the man was already weak from illness, he was soon dispatched.
AKA, motherfucker was dead.
Yeah. Sounds so much nicer the way they put it. So that kind of confirms that they didn't toss William's body into the river after they murdered him, because Christie probably would have mentioned that in his letter, and they probably found a body because that's how they were able to piece together what happened.
Yeah, how they knew they were washing him and combing his hair and all of that.
Yeah. And if there was no body, like they didn't find a body, Alice and Richard could have just been like, the dude left.
Yeah, I don't know where he went. He's gone.
Right? And no one would have been sad about it because no one liked him, so... Alice and Richard's trial was held on May 11th, 1734, and as stated by the Savannah Morning News, the actual documents of the court proceedings of the trial have since been lost, but this much we know, Alice and Richard were found guilty of William's murder and were sentenced to hang.
Damn. Funny they lost the documents, though.
Yeah. Before Alice could be hanged, though, it was discovered that she was pregnant.
Excuse me? Richard?
Yeah.
You have some explaining to do. So what happens if you're pregnant and you're supposed to be hanged?
So in this case, the hanging was actually postponed because she was pregnant. So they actually let her give birth, which I think is good because it wasn't the kid's fault, whatever happened. So they postponed the hanging until she could have the baby. She ended up having a baby boy, and they named him James.
Oh, who took care of James, though? Because they're both supposed to die, so who does James go to?
So, the baby actually died.
Oh.
But not till, I think it was like 2 weeks after he was born, or 6 weeks after he was born. It was not long after he was born. He ended up dying.
So no one had to take care of him.
No one...
Okay.
Yeah, no one had to take care of him.
Unfortunately.
Obviously, there's speculation on who is James's father. Was it Richard? Was it William? So many people believe it was Richard. obviously, because there was rumors that they were like an item and everything. But then some people think that it was actually William who was the father, and I don't agree with that because
she was creeped out.
Even though well, not just that, but supposedly, according to accounts, like in the letters and different things, William was bedridden. So I don't see him in his weak state being able to like overpower Alice and like get her pregnant. Yeah. So I just don't, I really feel, I don't know if Richard was the father necessarily, but I don't feel like it was William.
So no one knows who the father was.
No. So this next part gets kind of confusing. So I did a lot of research and I looked up many different sources, and so many people say different things. It's like Richard was hanged first, but then some say Alice was hanged first. And from the different accounts that I could find, it really seems like Alice was hanged first. And you would think it'd be Richard, because why would they postpone his hanging?
Yeah, he wasn't pregnant.
He wasn't pregnant. Yeah. But maybe they both postponed it, or maybe both of them got postponed because of the pregnancy. I think Alice was hanged first because on January 20th, 1735, another letter was written by colonialist named Edward Jenkins to good old James
Go figure.
Oglethorpe. Yeah, popular guy. He was still overseas in England, and Edward Jenkins, told Oglethorpe that him and these two brothers named Henry and William Parker were doing some work on Jenkins' land when they spotted Richard escaping from jail. Jenkins and the brothers sprung into action and quickly apprehended Richard, and he was whisked away immediately to the gallows. He ended the letter stating that the woman was hanged yesterday and denied the murder of Wise.
Okay. So she was hung the day before. Richard then escaped the day after.
That's what it seems like. And as reported by Savannah Now, the final reference to this whole event is by Thomas Christie in another letter written March 19th, 1735. He says, Alice Riley was hanged some months ago, within 6 weeks after she delivered her baby. He ends with this sad note: the child is since dead. Riley's baby James died 2 weeks after his mother was hanged. Okay, so it was 2 weeks. Based on the date of Jenkins' letter, it appears Alice Riley was hanged on January 19th, 1735.
So which means Richard would have been hung after the 21st or the 20th or something.
The 20th, yeah. It gets kind of confusing, though, because there's just several different sources that put him being hanged first and then her being hanged first. So, but from this, it seems like she was hanged first for whatever reason. Alice and Richard both claimed that they were innocent up until the very end, and maybe they were innocent. So Alice and Richard were both Irish immigrants, and during a time where there was a lot of discrimination going on, if you were of a different race or a different religion or whatever, there was a lot of prejudice, obviously.
Yeah.
You know, we know how history went. It's possible they could have been set up. So while James Oglethorpe, I want $1 for every time we said his name this episode.
We should have taken a sip every time we said his episode. Or
yeah. Play a drinking game, whoever's listening.
I fucked that up.
While James Oglethorpe was away in England, there was this dude named Thomas Coston, who was the acting head magistrate for the colony of Georgia.
Okay, he's just taking over for good old Oglethorpe while he's away.
Oglethorpe, yep. Mm-hmm. Later, Thomas Coston ended up getting accused by other colonists of abusing his authority and
so he was a jackass. He was like, oh, ego, power. I'm gonna be a fucking dick. Let's go.
Exactly. Right. And he supposedly manipulated trial juries, like the trial of potentially Alice Riley and Richard White. So he manipulated them to get the outcomes that he wanted. So it is possible, because a lot of people really hated William Wise, supposedly. So someone could have like murdered him And then Thomas was like, well, we're going to blame these 2 Irish immigrants because it just makes sense. So no one else of note gets in trouble and it's all good.
It's a theory. It's out there.
So maybe Alice and Richard were innocent, but we'll never really know. But one thing we do know for certain is that Alice and Richard were
hanged.
Yes, for the murder of William Wise. And they became the first woman and man executed in Georgia.
That's insane.
And William Wise became the first person that ever got murdered.
In Georgia.
So, yeah, so you can tell your brother that.
They're like, happy 21st birthday. William Wise was the first man to ever be murdered in Savannah, Georgia.
So there's also this tale. There's lots of tales with this story, but there's also this tale that when Alice was hanged, that they left her hanging there either overnight or for 3 days, depending on your sources, and that her body and the noose she was hanged with just disappeared.
Ew,
and no one could find it.
Who did what?
Yeah. But like I said, this one's most likely false as well, because according to reporter Lillian Bragg, who first introduced the story of Alice Riley in a 1959 Savannah Morning News magazine article entitled "The Woman Savannah Hanged," Alice and her baby James were buried in a plot of land just off Wright Square, which is now known as 9th West York Street.
Okay.
If I'm getting that right. Yeah. So obviously her body didn't go missing if they buried
with
it.
her baby.
If you take a ghost tour in Savannah, you might also hear that Alice Riley is still lingering around the city, supposedly stalking pregnant women or women with small babies, trying to take them from their mother because she is missing and looking for her son, James.
Makes sense. I mean, I probably heard that on the ghost tour, but literally you start at one bar and you go to like so many other bars that you just keep taking shots. So by the end of it, you're like...
We definitely need to do a ghost tour there. There's also like a Savannah theater there that's like super haunted and they do like tours, I think. I really want to do that. It is also said that Alice was a witch that cursed the people of Savannah, and it is because of this curse that the Spanish moss does not grow on one side of the oak trees located in Wright Square.
That's weird.
Yeah, but there is no known evidence that Alice was a witch, and a lot of people think that over the years, Alice's story has been confused with the story and legend of Lavinia Fisher of nearby Charleston, South Carolina, who many claim was the first female serial killer in the United States, who coincidentally we will be discussing in next week's episode, so stay tuned for that.
Yes, we will. And I can't wait to learn more about her because I have not heard this before. So I'm very excited.
Yeah. Like Alice's story is really sad and tragic, but Lavinia's has a little bit more.
I mean, she was the first woman ever hanged in Georgia for a murder that was probably well warranted because of this creepy old man that made her bathe him.
Yeah.
Like probably daily.
Right.
Well, we did the damn thing. We did the damn thing.
We did the damn thing. Our first episode of 2024. We're back, baby.
Ain't no laws with the white claws. But we have some things in the works for you guys if you want to help support us and get some cool ass shit in return. So
I can't wait. Like the later half of 2024 is going to be lit. So stay tuned. Follow us for more. It's going to be awesome. Like we're working on a lot of really cool stuff.
We really are. We're Liddy McTitty.
Stay
spooky.